Would you be willing to pay to park at your work to help tackle pollution and congestion on Scotland's streets? The Scottish Government has already come under fire over its controversial plans to give councils the power to charge employers for every parking space they provide.
Some local authorities have already ruled it out, but Edinburgh and Glasgow have said they're considering it. Well, our reporter Clare McNeill visited Nottingham. That's the only council in the UK to have introduced the scheme, to see how it's been working there.
Nottingham, the home of legendary outlaw Robin Hood. It's also the only place in the UK where there's a charge to park your car at work. Since introduced here in 2012, the workplace parking levy has generated £53 million, which has funded major improvements in public transport.
Workplace parking levy has paid for 2 new tram lines which we built during that period. It's paid for major improvements to our station and also a range of local bus services which get people in and out of workplaces and in and out of communities that would otherwise be relatively isolated from our bus networks, which have meant that people have been able to switch from the car into public transport.
The cost of the levy is £415 per parking space per year if the business has 11 or more spaces. It's up to the employer whether they wish to take on the charge or have their employees fork out the cash themselves. But some don't think it's fair that either should pay the extra cost. This printing company is on the edge of the city boundary and say that employees have no choice but to drive to work due to a lack of public transport in that area.
We're outside of the city centre. As I said, we're right on the boundary. So when they start at 6 a.m. in the morning, they would need to be leaving pre-5 o'clock to get to the first bus stop or tram that gets them here. And it actually doesn't get them here. It would include them doing multiple changes along the way. It's £7,000 per year. It started at £4,400, so there's an increase every year. That £7,000 would go straight to bringing in an apprentice and giving them a skill for life.
The scheme was brought in to reduce congestion, lower pollution levels and improve air quality by encouraging those who usually drive to work to take public transport instead. But as you can see, there are still a lot of people bringing their cars into the city centre here. Environmental groups say that while some improvements have been made as a result of the charge, more still needs to be done.
Nottingham's air quality is still over the legal limit, so they still need to do more to reduce it. But definitely the workplace parking levy and investment in the tram and in cleaner buses has helped a lot.
The Scottish Government's transport bill, in which they signal support for the scheme, will be published later this year. If it's approved, it's then up to each local authority whether to introduce the levy or not. So while the wheels are in motion, any decision is still a long way down the road. Clare McNeill, STV News, Nottingham.